Hi, I'm Nikki from Find Me Crafting. There are only 2 months left in the year for Marshmallow mug hat patterns. We're coming up on November, so this month I have 2 patterns for pie, pumpkin pie and cherry pie. And let me explain why. Pie is traditional for Thanksgiving dinner, right? My husband's family introduced me to this tradition of pretty much pie all day. We have a fancy sort of feast for lunch. We have the turkey and the stuffing and the mashed potatoes. And then, of course, we have pie for dessert. And then for dinner, we have pie. And if anyone's still hungry, pie. There's a lot of pie. Some years we've had more pies than we had people. So for us, you better believe that this month's mug hats are going to be pies. Come on, I'll show you how. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any new patterns or projects. The full pattern for both of these mug hats is available for free on my website. I'll put the link in the description box down below. So I'm going to start by showing you how to make the pumpkin pie mug hat first. Here's what it looks like up close. It is adorable and makes me really look forward to Thanksgiving. I have started and gotten this far already. This is just the pumpkin portion and 1 row of the crust. And so far, to get to this point, this is rows 1 through 8. And all I've done is done a magic circle in the middle and then increased out to here where I have 36 stitches around. If you need any help with the magic circle, I'll put a link for that up above. I'll also have a link for how to increase, how to do that to add stitches to each row. And I'll also have a link for a video for how to change colors if you want to, for changing colors from going from this orange to the brown. I'm working with a G 4mm hook. And I am using, this is Hobby Lobby's, I love this yarn in burnt pumpkin for the orange and toasted almond for the crust. So on to row 9. And for this row, I'm going to be adding the little ruffles of the crust. This part right here, that's what we're going to be working on first. So all of this row, actually let me just chain 1 because we need to do that at the end of each row or at the beginning of each row, depending how you look at it. All of row 9 are going to be worked in the front loops only. So normally we go under both loops right here. This is 1 stitch. And this right here is the front loop, the one closest to you. So if you come up underneath the loop closest to you, that's the front loop. So all of this row is going to be done in that front loop. Start by doing a half double crochet in this first one. So I yarn over, I go under that front loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. I have 3 loops on, yarn over, pull through. That's 1 half double crochet. I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2. And now I'm going to slip stitch in the same front loop that I just did my half double crochet in. So I go underneath, I pull it through there and then pull it through the loop on my hook. That's one of the little ruffles. Now I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to go under the front loop of this next stitch with a half double crochet. So yarn over, go under the front loop, pull up a loop. There's 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull through, chain 2, and then slip stitch in the same stitch that I did my half double crochet in. And that is the pattern. I'm going to go all the way around and just keep doing that pattern. So now I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to do a half double crochet under my front loop here in the next stitch. Underneath, pull up a loop, 3 loops on, yarn over, pull through, and chain 2 and then slip stitch in the same stitch. That pattern just gets repeated all the way around till I get back to the start. Once you get back to where you started with your ruffles, I'm just going to slip stitch under this first stitch here. I'm going to go underneath, I'm going to pull a loop through there and through the loop on my hook, and I'm going to chain 1. Now we just worked in the front loops to make all of these little crust ruffles. So that means on the back side that there is this back loop here that we didn't work in, that's still there, hasn't been worked in at all. You can see it. If you bend it forward a little bit like here, this one right here, we're going to work all of row 10 into that back loop. So hold it so that the top is facing toward you. And we're just going to do a half double crochet into each of those back loops. What I find easiest is if you fold the ruffled part toward you, it'll just pop those back loops up. You'll see them, they'll just be sitting right on top. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to go underneath this loop here. I'm going to pull up a loop. I have 3 loops on, yarn over and pull through. And I'm just going to do that, yarn over, go underneath that loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to do that all the way around. That'll give you 36 half double crochets in the back loop only. And see, I fold it toward me and there's my loop right there. Really easy to see and easy to work into if you fold the ruffles out of your way. So once you get back to where you started, you're once again going to slip stitch under your first stitch. If you can get your needle under it, there we go. So underneath and pull up a loop, pull it through the loop and the loop on your hook, chain 1. And now we're ready to begin rows 11 through 14 because they are all the same. And what we're going to be doing is working this part, this really cool looking ribbed part. We're going to do front and back post half double crochets, which sounds more exciting than it really is. So when we work, typically we're working underneath the loops on top. For this particular stitch, the front and back post half double crochet, we're going to work around the post, which is this bottom part underneath the loops. So you see the loops on top. This part here is the post. And what we want to do is bring the posts, this one I'm going to bring forward, this I'm going to bring back, forward, back, all the way around. So let me show you how we do that. You yarn over, and for the front post half double crochet, you're bringing it to the front. We're considering the part closest to you, the front. So I'm going to go toward the back, right next to that post. I'm going to wrap my hook around and come up behind it and stick my hook back out in the front. So let me show you again. You go in, around the post, and come from the back to the front, just like that. Now all I have to do is yarn over. I'm going to pull it back out. Now I have 3 loops on, yarn over and pull through. And that one I've pulled toward the front. So the next one we want to go toward the back. We're going to do the opposite of what we just did. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go in the back first. I'm going to come from the back to the front, wrap around the front and go front to back. So I've got that post like this. See, I'm pushing it to the back. I'm going to yarn over and pull, whoops, I'm grabbing it, there we go, and pull it through past the post. Now up here on top I have 3 loops on, yarn over, pull through. So that's a back post half double crochet. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around. So front and then back, front, back, front, back. Let me show you how to do a front again. We're bringing it to the front. So I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go front to back, wrap it around, back to front. Yarn over and pull it through the post. There's 3 loops on, yarn over, pull through. Now I'm going to do a back post. So I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to yarn over, go from the back and do back to front, wrap it front to back, yarn over, pull it past the post. Up here on top I have 3 loops on, yarn over and pull through. Now another front. So yarn over, front to back, wrap it around, back to front, yarn over, pull it past the post, 3 loops on, yarn over, pull through. One more. This is a back post. So yarn over, I'm going to go in the back and go back to front, wrap it around, front to back, grab the yarn, pull it past the post. Here's 3 loops on, yarn over, pull through. And I'm going to do the rest of this row just like that. It's 36 stitches. Once you're back to your first stitch, you're going to slip stitch just like you have been all the other rows. Slip stitch under that first one, chain 1. Rows 12, 13, and 14 are exactly like that last row. You're just going to continue to build on it so this part continues to grow. Let me show you what that looks like. So this first one is a front post half double crochet. You can see how it's like popped forward. So I'm going to yarn over, go right underneath here. Just so you know, once that you have that first row done, now that they're kind of sticking forward and back on their own, it makes it a little bit easier to go around and behind them and everything, because you've already done part of the work. So you're going to yarn over, and you can just kind of stick it underneath here. So what you're essentially doing is going front to back, back to front, but because it's sticking forward, you can just kind of go underneath the post. I'm going to yarn over, pull it past the post, 3 loops on, yarn over, pull through. That's my front. Now I'm going to do my back. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to go in the back, I'm going to go back to front, and then front to back, yarn over, pull it through. You have 3 loops on, yarn over, pull through, and you're just going to repeat. So here's my, technically a front to back and then back to front. But once again, like I said, you can just go underneath here because it's propped up, so it's easier to do. Yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on, yarn over, and just repeat around until you get to your 14th, well, through your 14th row. Once those rows are finished, I am just going to slip stitch to the first stitch again. I'm going to chain 1, and I need to do just one more row. Row 15 is just a single crochet in each of the stitches around. So underneath the loops, pull up a loop, 2 loops on, yarn over, pull through. That just tightens it up a little bit so that it hugs the side of the mug just a tiny bit more, so it's not as loose. And that's all you have to do for the base bottom portion of this hat. I'm going to slip stitch back to the first stitch of that row. Now you just cut your yarn, and I'm going to finish off by just pulling this through. And I'm going to tuck in any and all of my ends. I'm going to weave those in. All that's left to do for the pumpkin hat is the whipped cream. So I'm still using my G 4mm hook, and now I'm using Hobby Lobby's I Love This yarn in white. To start, you just need to chain 20. So I'm going to wrap my yarn around. I'm going to reach through and grab this and make a slip knot. And I'm just going to chain 20. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now all you have to do is beginning in the second chain from the hook. So here's where my hook's going to be in this loop. That's the first chain. I'm going to begin in this second chain from the hook. I'm going to put 3 single crochets into that one chain. So I'm going to go underneath this loop. I'm going to pull up a loop. There's 2 loops on, yarn over, pull through. That's 1 in that same spot. Go underneath, pull up a loop. There's 2, and now 1 more in that same loop, that same chain, and 3. You just have to do that in every chain. So here's my next chain. I'm going to go underneath, and here's 1 single crochet, 2, and 3. And I'm going to do that all the way down to the end, and it will curl. That's normal. You want it to do that, so don't panic. You're not doing anything wrong. It will start to curl. So this is what it looks like once you get it finished. This cute little curly Q, which is really cute and adorable, but doesn't look like whipped cream. So let me show you how to change that. I did cut off my yarn, finish it off. I knotted my 2 ends, and I wove in one of them. You're going to want to leave one end. This is not very long. I should have left myself more, but I might have enough. So we'll see. But here's what we're going to do to get ready. I'm going to take it off my needle, and I'm just going to start at this end, and I'm going to kind of unravel the curly Q and start to stack it. So if I leave this part here in the center as my center, I'm going to unroll and kind of stack it in circles, in concentric circles, I believe that would be called. So, you know, I'm just making it larger and larger as I go. As you unwind the curly Q and make it into a stacked bit of whipped cream. So now I'm going to put my needle back on, and I just want to secure this. I like how it looks. You can play around with it a little bit, but I'm just going to go down through all the different layers a couple of times. I mean, here's one, and I'm going to, you know, on the back, I like to tack down my end here. So I'm going to go up through 3 of the layers there like that. I'm going to go around just a little bit and secure it so that it doesn't come unraveled. It doesn't take much for that to feel pretty secure. So now I'm just going to weave in my end so I can cut it off. And now I'm just going to glue this, hot glue this right here on top of my pumpkin pie mug hat, and then it is done. For the cherry pie mug hat, I wanted to show you, I've already got this part done because it's actually very, very similar to the pumpkin pie mug hat. To get to this point, you start with a magic circle here, you increase, which just means to add stitches into the rows until you get to here. You're going to change color. There is one thing, you're going to be working in the back loop only on row 8. So you've switched to the brown, and then your first row in the brown, the toasted almond, you do in the back loop only, which is just the opposite of what we did for the pumpkin pie mug hat. Remember, we worked in the front loop only, which is the loop closest to you. And this one, you're going to work under the back loop only, which is just the loop farther away from you. I will put a link to a spot in a different video that shows how to do this, but I'm telling you, you've definitely got this. This is very doable. And once again, the free pattern is available on my website. I want to show you how to add this. I keep calling it a ruffle. It's not really a ruffle, but it's what it looks like to me, this crust part. I just want to show you how to do that part and the lattice on top. So I'm going to be working with Hobby Lobby's I Love This Yarn in Toasted Almond, which is also what this row is. I am going to be using a G 4mm hook. The G hook is the one we use for both of these patterns all the way through. So to do this part, you need to hold the hat so that the bottom is facing you. So normally we would work it this way, but now we want to turn it so we're working this way. I'm going to find the back where my seam is, right there. I'm going to go underneath that front loop that we left. So you've worked this one in the back loop only, leaving this front loop hanging out here. And you can see it when you look at it, see how it looks slightly different here. This is what you're going to work in for this whole ruffle part. So I'm going to go underneath my first one. I'm going to put my yarn on there and tighten it up. I'm going to pull it through. I'm going to chain 1 to attach it. I'm going to actually chain 3 total. So I already had 1. I did 2 more. There's 1, chain 3. And now I'm going to do a double crochet in the same stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, go underneath that same loop, pull up a loop. I have 3 loops on. I'm going to yarn over and go under 2. That leaves me with 2 loops. Yarn over and go through both of those loops. Now I'm going to slip stitch under the next front loop. So here we go. I just went under it, yarn over and pull it under that loop and through the loop on my hook. There's 1 ruffle done. Now I'm going to do 2 double crochets into this next one. So I'm going to yarn over, go under the next loop, pull up a loop. There's 3 on, yarn over, go under 2, yarn over 2 more, and now 1 more double crochet in that same loop. So underneath, pull up a loop, yarn over under 2, yarn over under 2 more, and in the next stitch, I'm just going to slip stitch. Go underneath, pull your loop through the red loop and through the one on your hook. And that's it. The rest of this row is 2 double crochets, slip stitch, 2 double crochets, slip stitch, all the way around to make these ruffly crust pieces. Once you get back around, you're going to want to slip stitch to the bottom here of the first one that you did. And then you can cut off your yarn and pull it through. I'm going to knot these 2 together, the first part, my first tail and my ending tail. And I'm just going to weave in these ends to get them out of the way. The last thing to do is make the lattice portion to put on top of the cherry pie. So I'm going to make 2 that are just slightly longer and then 4 that are all the same size but a little bit smaller than this first one. So I'm going to start by doing a slip knot. And I'm going to chain 2. And now I'm going to work in the second chain from the hook. So here's where my hook goes in this loop. There's the first chain. Here's my second chain. I'm going to start there. And I'm going to do just 1 single crochet. So go underneath, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. Now I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn the work. So turn it this way. And now I'm going to work a regular single crochet under this loop, under this stitch right here, under both loops. So go under, pull up a loop. Here's 2 on, yarn over. I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn my work just like this. And now I'm going to go under that single crochet I just made and pull up a loop. Here's 2, yarn over, pull through. Same thing, chain, turn the work and go underneath. And I'm just going to do that until I have 13 total single crochets, just like that. And then for the smaller ones, I'm going to work it so that there are just 10 single crochets before I stop and just finish off and weave in my ends. And that's how I make the lattice pieces that I'm going to glue on the top. When it comes time to glue the pieces of the lattice onto the cherry pie hat, I just wanted to show you what I do because it looks like a lot when you lay it all out. So I have the 2 long pieces that I made, and I hot glued this one just in the middle. I put a little bit of hot glue right here on the back of this middle and stuck it on top. And then I crossed this one over and just hot glued the center there so that these 2 pieces are just glued down in the center. So now I'm going to take my other pieces and I'm going to layer them, right? I want this one on top. This one's on the bottom. I'm trying to figure out which way I'm going here. Let's see. And then this one is also on top. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the backs of each of these and just glue them right in the center like that. Okay, and once that's cooled, I'm going to spin it and I'm going to weave these last pieces in here. So this one's going to be on top, this one's under here under the bottom, and this one's on top. And now I'm going to start gluing ends down so that it all holds together just like that. Once you get it all glued on, it looks a little something like this. And honestly, I think this lattice looks better than anything I've ever made that was actually edible. So I kind of love it. What kind of Thanksgiving traditions does your family have? I'd love to hear about them in the comments down below. Happy crafting!